Today we're going to be checking out filming locations for the Beastie Boys music video Sabotage, but I thought before that it might be cool to drive around LA and check out some of the other Los Angeles locations that are connected with the Beastie Boys. Even though the Beastie Boys are a New York band, they lived in LA for a while and there's a lot of locations that are connected with them. So, let's go see what we can find. Right behind me, this is the Grasshop House. After the Beastie Boys toured for their album License to Ill, they left Def Jam Records, signed with Capitol Records, and moved to Los Angeles, but they needed a place to live, so they rented the Grasshop House from director Alexander Grasshop. Supposedly, the Beastie Boys were inspired by the 1970s style of the house, including an underwater window that looked right into the house's living room, and if you ask me, that sounds amazing. The house also included a closet full of Madeleine Grasshopp's 1970s wardrobe, which the Beastie Boys began wearing and even started wearing out to clubs at night. This is the former home of the Dust Brothers, and if you're not sure who the Dust Brothers are, they're a couple of producers and beat makers, and you've definitely heard their stuff before. And basically, when the Beastie Boys left Def Jam and moved to Los Angeles, they were trying to figure out what they were going to do next, and they heard a cassette tape with some beats on it that were made by the Dust Brothers. They met up with them and decided that they wanted to work with them on their next record, which would be Paul's Boutique. Now, all those cool beats that the Beastie Boys heard on that cassette tape were made right here in this apartment building in the Dust Brothers dining room. It's also said that after MCA left the Grasshop House, he got a small apartment right above the Dust Brothers. According to the Dust Brothers themselves, this was a super sketchy neighborhood at the time, and they believe that MCA liked it because it reminded him of being back home in New York. To celebrate the release of Paul's Boutique, Capitol Records threw the Beastie Boys a party on the rooftop of the Capitol Records building.
The word on the street from respected rappers, from Eazy-E to MC Hammer to Public Enemy, is that these guys are real indeed. The music is stupid fresh.
The Beastie Boys wanted to fly a flag with their logo on it, but at the time the Capitol Records building didn't have a flagpole, so one was installed just for the party, and it's remained there ever since. The story goes that on the night of the party, the Beastie Boys and all their friends graffitied all over the rooftop of the Capitol Records building, and although most of it was removed, inside a fuse box, MCA tagged his name, and it wasn't cleaned up, and after he passed away, Capitol Records decided to leave it there as a tribute to him. Right behind me, up on that hill, is First Castle, a small mansion with the largest pool in Los Angeles. You might have seen it in 1989 when the Beach Boys filmed a live performance there, but more importantly, it's the filming location of the Beastie Boys music video, Hey Ladies. I gotta say that it's a real bummer to be so close to this location, but not have access to it. I had been trying to figure out where they filmed the Hey Ladies music video for a really long time, but this is where it is, right up there on top of that hill, inside First Castle. Maybe hopefully one day we'll be able to gain access and I can show you up close where they filmed the video. So if anybody watching this has a connection with First Castle and you can help me gain access, get in touch with me. Let's make it happen. Right up the street from the Capitol Records building, you can also find the location of the cover of the Check Your Head album. And it's right over here underneath this bridge. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the exact shot because these cars are in the way. But this is pretty much it right here. I know it's kind of hard to imagine with all of this trash here now. Obviously at the time there was no mattress, none of this trash was here. I also don't think the devil was here at the time. But the Beastie Boys would have been sitting right here on this curb. Notice that hole in the wall back there. I also don't think there was any pee bottles here at the time. But anyways, back in 1991, the Beastie Boys went for a walk with their friend Glenn Friedman, and he said, hey, let's take some pictures underneath this bridge, and then they ended up using one of the pictures for the album cover. Simple as that. In the early 90s, the Beastie Boys put out a somewhat obscure song called Neddys Girl. If I remember correctly, it was a B-side to the Pass the Mic 12-inch. The song was supposedly about a either fictional or non-fictional waitress that worked at Neddys Place, and Neddys Place was a restaurant that used to be located right there on that corner. Now, even though the song is about a waitress that may or may not have actually worked at the restaurant, we only actually see this building in the video for a split second. Mike D comes riding down the sidewalk right here on his lowrider bike, and that speed limit 35 mile per hour sign can be seen in the background behind him. You can also see this power box right here. He comes down the sidewalk and he rounds the corner right past Neddys' place, and we see a sign that says closed. It would have been located right here. February 7th, 1987, the Beastie Boys played here at the Hollywood Palladium for their License to Ill tour. There's even a cool picture of MCA climbing up on the marquee. Now I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was the first time the Beastie Boys played here in Los Angeles as headliners. The show included Fishbone and Murphy's Law and a surprise set by Run DMC. After taking that picture underneath the bridge by Capitol Records, the Beastie Boys and Glenn Friedman came here to Wonderland Avenue Elementary School, and they took another photo that became somewhat famous. It was actually used as the cover to the Beastie Boys VHS tape, The Skills to Pay the Bills. And I got this VHS tape when it came out. I still have it, and I definitely wore it out back then. That video that we talked about earlier, Neddys Girl, that was on this tape, along with a bunch of other really cool videos. And this photo that's on the cover was taken right over here in front of this fence. Now the bad news is, like a lot of other schools that we've seen recently, this one is currently under construction, and the fence is still here, but it no longer has those wooden slats. It's now covered by a tarp. But just in case you ever wondered where this photo was taken, this is the spot in front of this fence at Wonderland Avenue Elementary School. Speaking of Glenn Friedman, the first time the Beastie Boys ever came here to Los Angeles way back in 1985, Glenn Friedman brought them here to Loyola University to do an interview on KXLU radio. While they were waiting to do their interview, they snapped a photo in front of the Foley building, another picture that's become somewhat iconic. So right now they're only letting students on campus because of COVID, but you can find a lot of pictures of the Foley building online. And again, I just wanted you to know that this is where that picture was taken. A lot of cool stuff happened on the second floor of this building, and that's because this is GSUN Studios, which was the Beastie Boys' personal recording studio, and this is where they recorded Check Your Head, Ill Communication, and Hello Nasty. And I just can't imagine how much other awesome stuff took place here. I mean, Biz Markie was always hanging out, Q-Tip from Tribe Called Quest, who knows who else would always stop by. If we peek through the front glass, right up those steps, that was GSUN Studios. I doubt the camera is going to be able to pick this up, but there's a bunch of framed records on the wall, and those first two on the left, the one on the bottom is Check Your Head, and the one right above it is Ill Communication. All right, so let's take a walk around the building because there's some stuff that I want to show you in the back and some stuff that I want to show you on the side. And there's actually quite a few things that happened out here in the street and just all around this building, but we'll get to all that in a little bit. First, I want to show you this amazing mural that's on the side of the building. And this is, of course, a mural of MCA, and it's just awesome. You can see right down there, it says, "Rest in peace, MCA." And that's, of course, because we sadly lost him in 2012 to cancer. MCA was always my favorite Beastie Boy, and no offense to the other two guys. I mean, all three are amazing, but ever since I was a kid, MCA was my favorite because he just had such an awesome style. He was always so laid back, and he was always chewing gum, and just, he was so casual and just seemed like he was putting no effort into what he was doing, but he was still so cool. Man, it really hit me hard when he passed away. Now let's go around to the back of GSUN Studios, because there's actually a few things that went on back here. I'm going to show you one of them right now, and I'll show you some of the others a little bit later in this video. So, kind of not as cool because they put a gate. This gate didn't used to be here, but this is the back of GSUN Studios, and this is also where they filmed the Pass the Mic video. They would have been up there on top of that I guess it's like a little shed. They would have been up there rapping, camera looking up at them. So pretty much the entire music video was filmed right here behind GSUN Studios and on the half pipe that was inside of GSUN Studios and out here in the parking lot. There was also an episode of the hip-hop TV show Pump It Up where Dee Barnes interviewed the Beastie Boys right up there on those stairs right outside the back door of GSUN Studios. A few different scenes were filmed in front of and on top of Los Feliz Manor. All of these scenes were just filmed going back and forth on the second floor. Notice he's now in front of a completely different room. Although you don't actually see the building at all, this was filmed in the parking lot of Daily Donuts. They were standing in front of these buildings. These next few scenes were filmed in the parking lot behind GSUN Studios. The end scene of the video was filmed at the intersection of Santa Monica Boulevard and Highland Avenue, and not much here is the same besides the mobile station, but you can definitely see the street sign behind them for 1000 North Highland Avenue. Now, some of these locations were really hard to find, but I had a lot of fun doing it, and I'm really happy about the ones that I was able to track down. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.